All right, guys, I'm excited today. We got Chad Williams with us. He is a broker out of Fort Payne, Alabama, and he's doing all the right things in this market. So I am trying to bring on absolute studs who are getting it done so we can deliver the positive message of what it takes to get it done in this market, my man. I appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me on your show. I'm super stoked to be on your show. I know you have a lot of followers and a lot of people that's really involved in your show, and I look forward to bringing some value to some folks out there watching.
You're an Alabama guy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Northeast Alabama, home of the country music group Alabama, Fort Payne, Alabama.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so my good buddy Ricky, have you went down and Ricky Caruth?
Yes, Ricky and I have met in the past. He's a super awesome guy. What you see with him on YouTube and Facebook, he's the same guy in person.
Yeah,
he's bringing the heat. That's for sure, man. He's on
top
worker,
of it, man. That's his whole thing. Like, there's nothing special about me. I just work and I do it every day. That guy's consistent.
Yes, he is.
So speaking about working in consistency, let's get right into it, man. What are some tangible things that you're doing right now to get right now business? Not after the coronavirus releases us into the wild again, but right now.
Right. So I'm sure everybody wants to say, hey, what's the quickest way to get where I want to be? And if you could tell me one secret sauce or one magic pill to get me from where I'm doing my production right now, whether it be 10 units, 5 units, 20 units, 50 units, I think the main thing is just you've got to put in the work. I mean, there's no real shortcut. There's no secret sauce. It's just, long obedience in the same direction. It's just hammering, hustling. And eventually you're going to turn around and think, man, I'm further than I was. I may not be where I want to be, but I'm at least further than I was maybe 6 months ago or a year ago. It just takes the daily grind. That's the best way to put it.
So some of these guys are new enough or they haven't had enough success. They don't even know what the daily grind looks like. What does the daily grind look like when it comes to you getting clients on the phone?
Okay, so for me, I feel like a lot of it is just putting in the hours, putting in the work. So and try not to leave any stone uncovered. So let's say I get up and I go out here today and my intention is to go do this one activity out in the field, right? Whether it be a seller call and say, hey, my sign's down and can you come put it? I mean, just some little small activity. Okay, yeah, sure. I'll take care of that for you. And while I'm there, I may put up another sign. On the way back to the office, I may just take a whole different direction back to the office, and next thing I know, there's a for sale by owner.
Boom.
There's nothing stopping me from getting out of the car, knocking on the door. Here's a business card. This is, hi, I'm Chad. It's good to meet you. I see you're trying to stay home. You would not believe how much I've done in my business just by little small activities like that that you never really think is going to, they may not pan out right then, but somewhere down the road, somebody's going to call you back or say, hey, a friend of mine told me about your name and said you've got this brokerage or, you do real estate, blah, blah. And you're just connecting a lot of dots, planting a lot of seeds.
That's so true, man. I think you made a great point. You said I take a different route which right there, you got to be a little bit cognizant of the fact that you're trying to switch things up. So you got new opportunities. Sure. And you said, I see that for sale by owner sign. I get out of the car and I go give them a card. Now, when I talk to a bunch of people who are struggling and I mentioned that exact scenario,
sure.
If I asked them, what would you do? I guarantee a lot of them would say, well, I'd have to go home, think of a strategy. I'd have to build a really nice flyer. I'd have to think of my script. I'd have to practice it, read it. Just do it. Just do it, man. It doesn't need to be perfect. I always say I'm the king of B+ ideas, but I execute them. I don't need A+ ideas. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I would. Execution's key. It don't have to be perfect. You just got to put out the work and, the content, so.
Absolutely, man. So what else are you doing? So are you doing Sphere of Influence?
Yeah, I feel like in the area I'm in a pretty rural area, which, actually in all reality, that does help. Being from a smaller area, it's a little easier probably than a metro market to get your name. What do you mean by that?
Like name recognition?
Yeah, just personal branding, marketing. I've got a little car. It's got my, I guess you could, for lack of better words, stickers or partial wrap. That kind of helps, kind of draw some attention. And just Sphere of Influence. As Coach Michael Burt says, you got to drive your POI score, your person of interest. So you got to get out there and collaborate with people and get them on the crowd of people. You don't have to know everybody. You just need to be known. So you got to get your name out there.
Great point, my man. So Mr. 4% is what your name is here. Explain that. What does that mean?
Okay, so when I started my brokerage, I actually got my license in 2005, got my broker's license in 2007. It was in the business for quite a while, and I was just kind of, I guess, just an average agent. And I got out of the business for about 4 or 5 years, came back in, was working with a different brokerage, and decided that I wanted to start my own brokerage. So when I did that, I basically built my brokerage around what you would call, I guess, a discount brokerage, for lack of better words. We all know, commissions are negotiable, but I felt like, hey, if I can go that route and trying to produce volume with real estate, I feel like in the long run of things that it's going to take care of itself. And I feel like, the Mr. 4% is basically personal branding around the 4% business model. And in reality, I'm willing to trade now money for social currency. So I feel like the more I can personally brand myself, the more friends I have on Facebook, the more people see my car, the more it kind of grows. And at some point in time, I feel like the social currency, the idea of, hey, I know this guy, he needs to help you, or he helped me, or he helped my family. I feel like that's all going to tie in together at some point in time. So the Mr. 4% was actually kind of just given to me from a friend of mine because he knew I did the 4% business model. He's like, Mr. 4%. So it's kind of funny too how just your sphere of influence and your support system just kind of they'll say things to you, and without even really knowing what you're doing, you just kind of like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. So now I can be out in public and people's like, Mr. 4%. It's like, hey, what's going on? So it's just, I'll sure take it. So run with it.
So taking the discount route in your area, you're in a smaller area. Do you have any competition with that, or are you the guy?
Well, I am, I guess you could say, the guy. I can't obviously speak for what other people, how they run their business, but I feel like that is a direction I wanted to go in, and it's worked well for me.
And you've got a lot of additional business because I assume more sellers than buyers?
Sure, absolutely. I'm more heavily weighted on the seller side. Of course, I do work with a number of buyers, but I would say at the end of the year, when I look at my numbers, it's going to be way more heavily weighted on the seller side, which by saying that, I feel like the more I'm able to do that, the better I get at that side of the business.
So you run a brokerage. Do you have anybody at your brokerage other than you?
Yes, I do have one sales agent, but I don't have a large team of agents, just the one agent and myself.
Are they like underneath you as a team, or are they their own agent just at your brokerage?
They're their own agent at the brokerage.
Okay, correct. I got you. Okay. Right. Okay, interesting. So if you had let's go with sellers first, because you got a lot of sellers, right? You're heavy sellers. You get a seller right now in this market. We've got a lot of coronavirus issues going on. Oil is negative $36 a barrel. And, gas is $1.25. We don't know if we're going to have jobs in a month or not. What are you telling sellers when it comes to, should I sell now or should I wait?
Right. So I know it's going to be difficult to really project where this is going. Maybe there's people out there that really have a strong hold on where they think it's going. I personally don't. I'm not a big, not really a big news guy. I don't sit around watching television. Obviously, I don't feel like you can hustle your way through real estate sitting around watching television.
Yeah.
How many Lamborghini commercials have you seen on TV? It's because the buyers for those cars aren't sitting around watching television.
I like that.
So really and truly, I don't keep up with a lot of politics, a lot of news, but I will say just the feel of the market from what I'm sort of experiencing here, and I know other areas may feel something different.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like if you haven't already got your home under contract right now, or if you haven't already closed this year, you've probably seen the peak of the market. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we peak. I hope that we either peak later on or it gets back to what you may call normal. But I do feel like we may be on the trend of a decline, unfortunately. So hopefully not. Hopefully this is short term, and we'll jump right back on the train of being running as normal.
I've seen so many stats that go so many different ways, and it's just like the coronavirus, right? Is it scary? Is it just like the flu? Are we all going to die? Is it not a big deal? You see a lot of statistics that show unemployment rates through the roof.
All right.
But then you look at other stats and it's like, well, a lot of that is because they're not really requiring any paperwork trail behind that. Okay,
Sure.
well, that makes sense too. And then like, hey, a lot of people are losing jobs. Yeah, well, there's a lot of people who haven't lost their jobs, but they're not returning to work because they want to get all that unemployment that's being given right now.
Right.
That makes sense too. And that, so it's like every stat you see, if you analyze it, you can analyze it completely one way or completely the other way. But I agree with what you said, man. Nobody knows,
Right.
and anybody who says they know is full of it.
And let me add something to that too. That hopefully is a good takeaway for other agents as well as you and I. I mean, let's think about this as a long-term play, right? This is April of 2020.
Yep.
Let's break it down into quarters. How many? I'm a big sports guy, so how many teams have you seen down in the second quarter that come back and win the game in the fourth quarter? So just because we may be going through experiencing something right now, it doesn't mean that the year's over. We don't have to go hang our hat and say, hey, we're done. I mean, you got to make the best of the economy that you can in there right now.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what's going on, because throughout history, the market's been up, the market's been down, and there's still, you can find a way to win. That's the way I look at it. So,
you know, I'm a huge stat guy. Because I don't want to be the guy who's got the emotions involved. My emotions are wrong and I give you the wrong advice. In my market, I have seen about a 6% decrease in listings. People are just taking their homes off the market. So 6% decrease, not really a lot. Sure. But the buyer traffic has been almost the same. So in this market, it's almost a better time to sell now statistically than it was before this whole thing happened. Now, I don't know if that's going to last. You might be right. It might be at the peak. And we won't, you know, you never know until it's like it's in the past. Right. So, you know, we don't have a crystal ball backwards either. But so it's just kind of an interesting concept of what to do. But, you know, I've had a lot of sellers talking to me lately too. Same question. And I've just said, you know, it's really dependent upon your situation. Sure. If you need to sell, if there's a need, we need to talk about, you know, what are your left and right limits? That's an old Army term. Like, you know, can you sit in there for a while? If you can't, well, then it's not even a question. It's when and how. And so it's really, I think the big part here is getting into that really deep conversation with people and getting to the root of what it is that they actually want out of it. Reality is reality. That's our job. We get the unfortunate job. In an up market, it's fun to tell people that they thought their $300,000 home was worth 280, and we come in and tell them it's worth $3. Sure. But it takes real pros to sell. I mean, you said you started in 2005? 2005,
yes. Correct.
Yeah, 2008 sucked.
You did. I remember that. And it was you don't want to go back to those days.
No, not even sales-wise. The sales were still happening. It was the interactions with people, man. You know, you go right now, you go show people a house, it's fun. You get hugs and high fives and all kinds of stuff. But when you're, especially as a listing agent, when you're going to a listing in 2008, it's a lot of tears and a lot of fear and listen, I'm not saying that's where we're about to. I think you and I are both on the same page that who the hell knows where we're going. This could be a little blip and it's no big deal. It could be a monster. You don't know. But okay, so what about a buyer? A buyer's a little bit different. I've got a different perspective on a buyer. What do you think with them?
With a buyer, I don't know. A buyer is always going to be looking for the best home for the least amount of money, right? So what do they do? I mean, it's been a really hot seller's market for a while. And if you're a buyer, it's kind of the same thing you said, you know, talking about the need.
Yeah.
You know, do they need a home, or are they just kind of, you know, we've been renting for a while and we kind of want to get in our own place and not really in a big hurry. Okay. So if that's your prerogative, then you might want to sit on the fence a little bit and see what happens. But if you're in a now buy, hey, I'm changing jobs, I've got to have a home, you know, then let's go look. So
my new response has become, what's plan B? If you decide you want to wait for a while, you don't buy, what does that look like? Are you going to keep renting? Are you going to keep living with mom and dad? Or, you know, what are you going to live in that house you've been in for a while? And a lot of times, sometimes the answer is, that's what I'm, okay, cool. Well, then you're good. Let's chill. Let's see what happens. But a lot of times that'll open up people's minds and they're like, I didn't really think of that. I have to move. Okay, well, then it really doesn't matter what the market's like, right? Let's just do it.
Sure.
So yeah, those are really good questions, man. I think it's really important to get to the why deep down. What are people actually looking for? So what do you, if you had to guess what 6 months from now is going to look like in real estate? Do you think we're going to be about where we're at? Is it going to be hotter? Is it going to be colder? What do you think?
I think colder, but you got to get up every day and weather the storm and be ready to face the battle, because every day, you may get something good that comes across your desk. Yeah. You may get something bad, just have to roll with it.
The funny thing is, I've been doing a lot of these interviews since the whole thing happened. It's been a great way to connect with people. It's been a great way to educate other agents that you want to help. And when you have studs on here, they all have the same mentality. It just doesn't matter. Right. If it's a strong market, then we're selling houses. If it's a bad market, maybe we've got investors in foreclosures. If either way, there are sales, and either way, you just work your butt off to find out how to help people. That's
and let me add to that, because as you were saying that, it brought something back to my memory. So when you're in the moment, when something's really bad, you think, man, this is horrible. And it's like when an high school football coach told me, nothing's ever as good as you think it is, and nothing's ever as bad as you think it is. So even when you're having the greatest day ever, and I've got all these calls, I wrote these offers today, or I've got these accepted contracts, that's great. But then you're also going to have some low points. But fast forward 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, you may not even really remember those emotions.
Yeah.
Or what really happened. You just looked at the overall picture of that year, and it's like, okay, well, that was a good year, or I could have done some things different, or I want to build upon my past success. But you can't get too caught up, and you don't want to get in a real low state, a real high state at any point in time, because you just have to take what you're given. So that's the way I feel about it. You can get real bogged down, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, and just got to roll with it.
You look like a quick guy. Were you a cornerback?
A cornerback?
Yeah.
Yes, I played defensive back, and I also played wide receiver. My big sport in high school was wrestling, and I do think that's where some mental toughness comes from, and just having the grit. So I enjoyed that.
I played football and baseball. I was horrible at baseball. I was a good football player, but I remember I'd hook up with the wrestling team in the winter. I was not a wrestler, but I'd hook up with them because the workouts were so intense. They were so good.
Oh, yeah.
And I would be 50% bigger than these dudes, and they would light me. I'd throw them on the ground, and then they were way smarter than me, had way better technique.
Right.
And they just laugh at the big dumb idiot getting his butt kicked on the mat.
That's funny. It's a great sport for anybody that's not familiar with it. If they've got it. Yes, the mentality is great. I carry that with me. I know it may sound crazy to some people, but it's your past kind of builds who you are. And there's a story behind that too. It helps with storytelling. What's happened in your past can really define who you are now. And there's maybe some things that you don't really want to talk about, but everybody has a story. And if you can share it with people, you may find that there's other people that's been through some similar things, whether good or bad. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to end with the biggest question I think that's on anybody's mind.
Okay.
And you're pretty close to Florida. I'm in Florida.
Right.
Now, Tom Brady's down here. You got Gronkowski down here.
Oh, yeah.
What is now let's assume the season's going to happen. What is the Bucs' final regular season record going to be?
I feel like they'll have a winning record. I need to order me a Bucs t-shirt, because I'm definitely on the bandwagon.
You're on the bandwagon.
Oh yeah, I'm a Brady fan, and I like the news of the Gronkowski joining. I know he's coming out of retirement, but he may be healthy and ready to roll. And he's a tough guy, and I think he's ready to strap the helmet back on and get out there. I think bringing the culture too. Culture is huge. Bringing that culture to the Bucs system. You're bringing the GOAT in his quarterback.
Yeah.
And you're bringing his
the expectations.
Yes, the expectations, and you're getting the Gronkowski too. I just hope Gronkowski don't find himself in trouble in the state of Florida. He's a party guy.
He's got Tommy watched him, man. He'll be fine.
That's true. Tommy may keep him under restraints.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
I don't know what their record will shake out to be exactly, but I do think they'll have a winning record. I think they'll do fine.
Interesting. Well, I'm gonna have to call you back here at the end of the year, and we'll see how you fared.
Sure. That sounds great. Hey, I appreciate you having me on the show, and I look forward to seeing other folks on the show, and hopefully everything goes well with you the rest of the year. And Keep hustling. Keep doing what you're doing, Joe. I appreciate it.
You too, my man. I appreciate it. Now that I know you up there, I will absolutely send you all my referrals up there, buddy.
I appreciate it.
It's good to see you killing it.
Thank you. You too. I appreciate it, Joe. Have a great evening and good weekend.
All right. Take care, my friend.
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye.